Hello, welcome to the Learn English Lab. Today's podcast is How to Fix Hesitation and Repetition in IELTS Speaking.
It is fantastic to be here. This is probably one of the most requested topics. It's the one that really keeps people up at night, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. It's the ultimate boogeyman for anyone preparing for this exam. And I think we really need to start by, setting the scene, because this isn't just a technical problem on a score sheet. It's a physical, visceral feeling.
It is. It's a nightmare scenario.
Right. I want everyone listening, just for a second, please don't do this if you're driving, but just picture it. You've done the work, months of it. You walk into that exam room.
And you can feel the quiet. The air is different.
Yes. It's got that specific sort of sterile office carpet smell, a little bit of stress in the air conditioning. You sit down, the chair probably squeaks a little bit.
Of course it does.
And across from you is the examiner. They could be friendly, they could look tired. To you, they're the gatekeeper to your future. And then they smile, hit that little red record button, and the room just goes dead silent.
And they ask, what should be the simplest question in the world?
The ultimate softball. Something like, what do you do for a living? Or tell me about your hometown. A question you could answer in your sleep, in your own language.
But then, nothing.
Your mind just goes completely blank. It's like a computer screen just showing that blue screen of death. You open your mouth and what comes out is just, well, it's a train wreck.
I work. Well. In an office.
It's painful to listen to, but it is agony to experience it from the inside. You can feel the heat rising in your face.
You can. And you're failing in real time. It's happening right there.
What you're describing is a perfect, almost textbook example of what we call the buffering effect.
The buffering effect. That is the perfect term. I'm just picturing that spinning wheel on a video that won't load.
That's exactly the analogy. Think about it. You're trying to stream a movie on a really bad Wi-Fi connection. The processor is working, the computer is frantically trying to get the data, but the delivery system, the connection has failed. So the brain is working. I think that's a key point. Students beat themselves up thinking, I'm stupid, or I don't know the words.
The brain is working overtime. It's overheating, actually.
Yeah.
It's trying to find the vocabulary file, the grammar file, the pronunciation file, all at once. But anxiety acts like a bottleneck. Nothing can get through to your mouth.
And that creates a feedback loop, right? You notice you're hesitating, which makes you more anxious, which shuts the brain down even more, which leads to
more hesitation. It's a spiral. And our mission in this deep dive is to give you the tools to break that spiral. Because we had to be really clear about the stakes here.
This isn't just about feeling a bit awkward.
Not at all. In the IELTS exam, this buffering is directly attacking your score. Specifically, your fluency and coherence score.
Which is a full 25% of your speaking mark, a quarter of your total score.
A quarter of the score is decided by your ability to just keep going. And a lot of people misunderstand fluency. They think it means speaking 100 miles an hour like an auctioneer.
Right. Going once, going twice, sold.
Please don't do that. Fluency is about continuity. It's about flow. And hesitation and repetition are the two biggest dams you can put in that river.
I think visualizing the band score ladder is really helpful here, because there's this myth that to get a band 9, you have to be some kind of perfect robot who never pauses.
A complete and dangerous myth, because it makes you aim for something that's not even human. Native speakers pause. Great public speakers pause all the time. The difference isn't if you pause, it's why you pause.
Okay, so let's dig into that. What does a good pause, a band 9 pause, sound like?
A band 9 pause is for content. You're searching for the best idea, not the basic word. It sounds thoughtful, like this. When it comes to government policy, well, I believe it's often a little short-sighted.
Okay, that pause felt intentional. It felt like you were weighing your words.
Exactly. I wasn't struggling to find the word government. I was thinking about my opinion. Now contrast that with a band 5 or 6 pause, which is language-related.
That's the sound to struggle.
Right. The government is... I think. It's not good. You can hear the gears grinding, searching for basic vocabulary.
And a band 4.
At band 4, the pauses are often longer than the speech itself. The silence is winning. And that's where repetition kicks in as a survival tool.
Because if you can't find the next word, you just say the last one again to fill the silence.
You loop. It's a desperate attempt to keep the engine running.
I think that. You're treading water, but you're not going anywhere.
And the examiner just has to sit there and mark what they hear. They can't help you.
So that's our mission, to provide a clear roadmap with specific, Actionable strategies. We're moving from buffering to broadcasting, and we're not just going to say, practice more.
No, that's the worst advice. It's like telling someone who can't swim to just try swimming harder.
We need techniques. We need to rewire the brain's response to pressure.
Let's jump into that then. Section 1.
Yeah.
Diagnosing the problem. We need to properly separate these two things. Hesitation versus repetition. They're related, but they're not the same beast. No, they're not. Let's start with hesitation. The key is to understand the difference between what we could call good pauses and bad pauses.
Okay, the good, the bad, and the awkward silence.
Pretty much. A good pause is natural. It's intentional. It happens between ideas. Think of it like punctuation. A native speaker might say, I really enjoy traveling. Pause. In fact, last summer I went to Japan.
That pause works like a full stop. It signals that one thought is complete and a new one is beginning. It adds a bit of drama even.
It shows control. You're driving the conversation. Now, a bad pause or unnatural hesitation happens mid-sentence or even mid-word. It breaks up a natural grammatical chunk.
What do you mean by grammatical chunk?
English flows in little groups of words. I really enjoy as a chunk. Last summer as a chunk. I went to Japan as a chunk. Bad pause sounds like this.
Yeah.
I really enjoy traveling. You're hitting the brakes in the middle of a fluid motion.
And it's almost always filled with those noises, isn't it? The ums and
Or the absolute worst one. How to say.
Oh, that's just a red flag to the examiner, isn't it?
It's like holding up a sign that says, I don't know the vocabulary. You're literally asking the examiner for the word. You're confessing to the gap in your knowledge.
You're doing their job for them.
Let's use that travel to Japan example. I'll give you two versions. Version A, the polished one. I really enjoy traveling. In fact, last summer, my trip to Japan was an unforgettable experience.
Smooth, confident. Sounds like a band 8 or 9.
Now, version B, I really enjoy traveling. Like
Yeah.
last summer, I went to, Japan, and it was FICA, good.
Ugh, it's painful to even hear. And what's crazy is the core information is identical. Both people went to Japan and liked it.
But the delivery is the difference between a band 5 and a band 8. One sounds fluent and in control, the other sounds lost and uncertain.
Okay, so that's hesitation. Now let's talk about repetition. We mentioned the loop, I think, but there's more to it than that.
Yes. There's a simple word repetition, which is often just a panic response. But the more subtle and, in some ways, more damaging type is idea repetition.
The waffle.
The waffle. This is where you might be speaking quite smoothly, but you're not actually saying anything new. You're just circling the same point. I like reading books. Reading is a great hobby. I find it very enjoyable to read. For me, books are a good way to relax.
4 sentences, 1 idea. You haven't moved forward at all.
It's like running on a treadmill. Lots of motion, zero progress. The examiner's just waiting for you to get to the point to add some detail, but you never do.
So why do we do these things? What are the root causes?
Well, there are a few big ones. The first, and maybe the biggest, is what we call the internal editor.
I picture a little guy sitting in my brain with a red pen just waiting to circle every mistake.
That's him. And for many students, he's way too active. Before a single word comes out of your mouth, you're mentally checking it for grammar. Wait, is that the right tense? Should I use a preposition here?
And while that internal debate is raging, all the examiner hears is silence or,
Exactly. You're prioritizing perfect accuracy over functional fluency. And in a real-time conversation, that's a losing strategy. It creates a huge delay.
Which brings us to the next cause, the translation trap.
A massive one. You hear the question in English. Your brain translates it into your native language. You formulate the answer in your native language. Then you translate that answer back into English. And then finally, you try to speak.
That's a 4-step process. A native speaker has a 2-step process. Hear and speak.
You've added 2 huge, time-consuming steps. It's like routing a phone call through a satellite twice. The lag is unavoidable.
And the final cause.
A simple lack of structure. You start a sentence with no idea how you're going to finish it. It's like starting a journey without a map. You just start talking. I think the environment is. And then your brain goes, okay, and then what? You get lost mid-thought.
Okay, so the diagnosis is clear. We're dealing with the internal editor, the translation trap, and a lack of structure. The patient is on the table. It's time to operate.
Let's get to the cure.
Section 2. Strategies to fix hesitation. Strategy 1 is my personal favorite because it feels like a magic trick. The buy time technique with natural fillers.
This is absolutely foundational. We've established that awkward silence is the enemy. So the goal isn't to eliminate thinking time. It's to fill that thinking time with intelligent-sounding language.
So you're replacing the is and ums, which are basically the sounds of a brain crashing, with actual phrases.
Exactly. We call them discourse markers or filler phrases. They do two things. They signal to the examiner that you've understood the question and are preparing a thoughtful answer, and they give you a precious 3 to 5 seconds to actually think.
Okay, give us the essential toolkit. What are the phrases we need?
For a difficult or unexpected question, instead of freezing, you can say, "That's a very interesting question."
Just saying that out loud, it took me about 3 seconds. That's a lot of thinking time.
It is. Or you could be more direct. Let me think about that for a moment.
I like that one. It's honest and it shows confidence. You're taking control of the pace of the conversation.
You are. For an opinion-based question, you could start with, "Well, to be honest," or "Off the top of my head, I'd say."
What about if you need to transition or you have a new idea?
Actually, now that I think about it, that's a brilliant one for adding a second layer to your answer.
Let's do a quick role play. I'll ask you, do you prefer living in the city or the countryside? Give me the bad buffering answer first.
I think city, because there are,
Yeah.
many shops and things.
Painful. I zoned out halfway through. Now use the buy time strategy. Same question.
The city or the countryside? That's a tough choice, actually. Well, to be honest, while I love the peace of the countryside, I think I'm more of a city person at heart.
It is night and day. It's a completely different level of communication. You sounded like you were actually considering the question.
And by the time I need to give my actual reason, I already spoken for about 5 or 6 seconds in perfect, fluent English. It warms up the engine. It builds confidence for the rest of the answer.
Fantastic. Okay, strategy 2. Breaking the translation habit. This is a tough one. How do you stop doing something that's so automatic?
You have to consciously build a new habit. And the best way to do this is a technique I call narrate your life.
What does that involve?
It means you turn your internal monologue into an English language commentary track for your day. As you're doing things, you describe them to yourself in simple English.
So if I'm making my breakfast...
You think to yourself, "I'm opening the fridge, I'm taking out the milk is cold, now I'm pouring the milk on my cereal." You're forcing your brain to connect the action directly to the English words, bypassing your native language entirely.
You're cutting out the middleman.
Exactly. Another way is labeling. Just sit in a room and mentally name everything you see in English. Desk, lamp, window, curtain. Don't think of the word in your language first. Go straight to English.
It's like doing mental push-ups for your brain. It feels a bit silly at first, I imagine.
It does, but it builds that direct neural pathway. And one more, which is actually quite fun, is to practice reacting in English.
So if you see something surprising, you train yourself to say,
"Wow," or "Oh, really?" instead of the equivalent in your own language. Reactions are very primal. If you can get your instinctive reactions to happen in English, you're winning the battle against translation.
I love that. Okay, strategy 3. This is for the people who get lost mid-sentence, the PRP framework.
Yes. If your problem is a lack of structure, PREP is your GPS. It gives you a roadmap for your answer so you can't get lost. It stands for point, reason, example, point.
Okay, break that down for us.
First, point. You make your main point directly. Just answer the question in one clear sentence.
You explain why you believe that. Give the logic behind your point.
This is crucial. You give a specific, concrete example to support your reason. And finally, point again. You summarize or restate your main point, maybe in slightly different words, to conclude.
It sounds incredibly logical. It probably prevents you from just rambling on and on.
It's the ultimate ramble killer.
Yeah.
Let's take a common question. Has technology improved education? Here's the messy, unstructured version. Yes, I think so. Because students can. They can use the internet. And it's good. They can learn many things. So, yeah, I think it has improved it.
It's weak, it's vague, and it just sort of fizzles out at the end.
Now, let's apply PRP to that same question.
Yes, absolutely. I believe technology has fundamentally revolutionized education for the better.
The primary reason is that it provides virtually unlimited access to information and learning resources.
For instance, a student in a small village can now take an online course from a world-class university like MIT or Stanford, something that was unimaginable 20 years ago.
So because of that global accessibility, it's clear that technology has been a massive game changer for education.
That was a perfect answer. It was structured, it was detailed, and that final P gave you a really strong, confident way to finish. You knew exactly when to stop talking.
And that's a huge problem for many students. They keep talking because they don't know how to land the plane. PREP gives you a runway.
Strategy 4, the speed trap. I think a lot of people need to hear this. Debunk the myth for us. Speaking fast is not the same as fluency.
It is not. In fact, for most learners, trying to speak fast is the direct cause of their hesitation and mistakes. Think of it like driving a car. Who's the better, more fluent driver? The one who speeds at 100 kilometers but is constantly slamming on the brakes and swerving.
Or the one who drives smoothly and consistently at 60 kilometers.
Exactly. The smooth driver is more pleasant to be in the car with. For the examiner, listening to jerky, stop-start speech is exhausting. Aim to speak at about 70 or 80% of your maximum possible speed.
Give your brain a chance to keep up with your mouth.
Give your brain that little bit of a buffer and use pauses strategically. Pause between your sentences, not in the middle of them. Take a small breath at every comma and a full breath at every full stop. It makes you sound thoughtful and in control.
Great advice. And the final strategy for hesitation, strategy 5, mastering self-correction. This is interesting because you said self-correction can actually be a good thing.
It can be a very good thing if it's done correctly. It shows the examiner that you are aware of your own mistakes and you know the correct grammar. It's a sign of a high-level learner.
So what's the bad way to do it?
The bad way is the panic loop. It's when you make a mistake and then you make a huge deal out of it. Yesterday I go, oh my gosh, excuse me. You're drawing a giant red arrow pointing at your error.
You're apologizing for your English, which destroys your confidence.
Yes. The good way is quick, clean, and confident. You make the mistake, you fix it instantly, and you move on without breaking your flow. Yesterday went to the market and bought some vegetables.
It was almost seamless. You just corrected the data and kept going.
That's all it needs to be. You can use a quick phrase like, I mean, or rather, but keep it brief. The message is, I know the rule, I just had a little slip, now let's continue. The examiner will actually give you credit for that.
Okay, that's a fantastic toolkit for hesitation. Let's pivot to the other monster under the bed. Repetition, section 3. Stratagems to fix repetition.
Right. And the first strategy here tackles idea repetition. It's called the extension technique. The problem is often that you run out of things to say, so you just repeat your main point.
You give your one-sentence answer, and then your mind goes blank.
Yes. So to fix this, you need to become your own interviewer. As soon as you make a statement, you need to mentally ask yourself follow-up questions. Why? How? When? Who? What if?
So you're basically prompting yourself to add more detail.
You're forcing yourself to develop the idea. Let's try it. The question is, do you enjoy cooking? A simple answer would be, yes, I like cooking. Now let's extend it.
Go ahead.
Yes, I really enjoy cooking. Mental prompt. Why? For me, it's a fantastic way to relax and be creative after a long day. Mental prompt. How, when? I usually spend about an hour in the evening trying out new recipes, especially Italian food. Mental prompt. Who? My grandmother first taught me how to cook, so it always reminds me of her. Mental prompt. What if? And if I have friends over, it's the perfect way to socialize.
Wow. From one simple yes, you created a rich, detailed, personal answer. You never repeated, I like cooking, because you were too busy answering your own internal questions.
The initial statement is just the launch pad. The questions are the rocket fuel that takes your answer into orbit.
That leads perfectly into strategy 2, which is about vocabulary, building a synonym bank. Sometimes we repeat a word simply because it's the only one we know for that idea.
We all have our crutch words. Good, bad, important, big. Like an answer full of these words sounds very basic and repetitive.
So the solution is to proactively prepare alternatives.
Let's do a quick fire round. I'll give you a common ignoring word. You give me a couple of higher level synonyms. Ready?
Let's do it.
Important. Crucial, vital, essential, significant.
Perfect. Good.
Beneficial, outstanding, valuable, positive.
Big.
Massive, substantial, enormous, considerable.
Yeah.
Just having those in your back pocket means you can say the same idea in a few different ways without sounding repetitive. And you should do this not just for individual words, but for common IELTS topics. If the topic is the environment, don't just say pollution 5 times.
Right. You should have words like carbon footprint, sustainability, biodiversity, eco-friendly, conservation, ready to go.
Having that topic-specific vocabulary bank allows you to discuss the issue with more precision and variety.
Strategy 3 is using discourse markers. We mention these as fillers, but here they work as road signs to prevent repetition. How does that work?
They work because they logically force you to change direction. If you use a word like however, Your brain is now required to find a contrasting idea. You literally cannot repeat your previous point after saying however.
They're like gear shifts for your brain.
Exactly. If you want to add a new point, you use furthermore or moreover. If you want to show a result, you use consequently or as a result. If you want to sequence ideas, you use firstly, secondly, finally.
Can you give an example, maybe describing social media?
Without markers, it might sound like. Social media connects people. It can be negative. It wastes a lot of time. It's choppy and repetitive in its structure.
Now with markers.
On the one hand, social media is an incredible tool for connecting people across the globe. However, on the other hand, it can have a negative impact on mental health. Furthermore, it can be a major source of distraction. All in all, I'd say it's a tool that requires careful management.
Much more sophisticated. The markers guide the listener and yourself through a logical argument.
They provide the coherence part of fluency and coherence.
Strategy 4 is more of a mental discipline, the one-and-done rule.
This is a simple but powerful mindset shift. Your goal is to say each point once, say it well, and then move forward. Never look back.
So you have to catch yourself before you say things like, as I mentioned before, or to repeat my point.
Exactly. If you find yourself wanting to repeat an idea, take that as a signal to transition to a new angle or a different example. It's like being a shark. Always move forward.
I like that. And finally, the ultimate safety net, strategy 5, the idea toolkit, or what you call the 6 angles.
This is your emergency plan for when your mind goes completely blank on a topic. You can analyze almost any issue from these 6 different perspectives.
What are they?
1, personal experience. 2, other people, like friends or family. 3, society, or your country's perspective. 4, the past versus the present. 5, pros and cons. And 6, the future.
Let's put it to the test. I'll give you a really boring topic. Bicycles. Talk about bicycles using the 6th angle.
Okay, bicycles, let's see.
Personally, I love cycling on weekends to stay fit.
In my city, the government is building more bike lanes to encourage eco-friendly transport, past versus present. In the past, bicycles were a primary mode of transport, but now they're more for recreation. Pros versus cons. On the one hand, they're great for the environment, but on the other hand, they can be dangerous in heavy traffic.
I believe in the future, electric bicycles will become much more common in cities.
You just generated 5 distinct, interesting points about bicycles in 30 seconds. It's impossible to run out of things to say with that toolkit.
It's your safety net. You'll never be stuck just repeating, I like bicycles again.
We're getting into some really high-level stuff now. Let's move to section 4, advanced tactics for that band 7 plus Polish.
This is where we go from being a good speaker to being a memorable and impressive one. And the first tactic is storytelling.
Why is telling a short story so effective?
Because stories are the natural enemy of hesitation and repetition. A story has a built-in structure, a beginning, a middle, and an end. You don't have to invent the structure, you just have to recall the memory.
And you're using natural past tenses as you tell it.
Correct. The grammar comes naturally. So if the question is, tell me about a time you helped someone, don't just give a fact. Tell a mini story. Use a simple structure. Setting, action, feeling, lesson.
Walk us through that.
One time, during a heavy rainstorm setting, I saw an elderly man drop his groceries all over the pavement. I immediately ran over and helped him pick everything up. Action. He was so relieved and thankful, which made me feel really good feeling. It reminded me that even a small act of kindness can make a big difference in someone's day. Lesson.
That's so much more engaging. You're painting a picture, not just stating a fact. And because you're seeing it in your mind's eye, the words just flow.
Precisely. The next advanced tactic is using conditionals and hypotheticals.
The if sentences. If I were a millionaire.
Exactly. Using phrases like, if I had the chance, or supposing that, does 2 important things. First, it demonstrates grammatical range, which is a high-level skill. Second, it forces you into a creative space, which prevents you from just repeating boring facts.
So instead of, I want to live in Australia, you'd say.
If I could choose any country to live in, I would probably pick Australia because of its incredible nature and relaxed lifestyle. It's more sophisticated and allows for more detailed explanation.
And the final advanced tactic, idiomatic expressions. There's a big warning label on this one, isn't there?
A huge warning label. Please do not just memorize a list of idioms and force them into your answers. It almost always sounds unnatural and wrong. I've heard students say things like, I enjoy watching movies so it's raining cats and dogs.
It makes no sense at all.
The key is to use common, natural-sounding idioms that fit the context. Things like, it's a double-edged sword for a pros and cons question. or once in a blue moon for something you do rarely, or at the end of the day to conclude an opinion.
So use them sparingly and only when you are 100% sure they fit.
If you have any doubt, don't use it. It's better to be clear and simple than to be fancy and wrong.
This has all been fantastic theory, but people need to practice. So let's head to section 5, the gym practical exercises to build these fluency muscles.
Yes, this is where the real work happens. You can't learn to swim by reading a book about it. You have to get in the water.
So, exercise 1 is the mirror technique. Tell us about it.
It's simple. You stand in front of a mirror for 5 or 10 minutes every day and talk about a topic. The key is to maintain eye contact with yourself. It feels very awkward at first, but it builds confidence and makes you aware of your body language and facial expressions.
You notice if you're fidgeting or looking away when you're searching for a word.
Exactly. Exercise 2 is the substitution drill. This directly targets word repetition. You take a very simple sentence like, pollution is a bad problem.
And you force yourself to rephrase it.
You have to say it 5 different ways without repeating the key words. Environmental contamination is a serious issue. The degradation of our atmosphere is a critical concern. Air quality is a substantial threat to public health. It builds your synonym muscles.
Exercise 3 is shadow speaking. This one's fun.
It is. You find a short audio clip of a native speaker, a TED Talk, a podcast, anything, and you play it, and you speak along with them at the same time. You try to mimic their exact speed, rhythm, and intonation.
So you're not thinking about content at all?
Not at all. You're purely focused on the physical act of producing the sounds and the flow of English. It's like vocal karaoke. It trains your mouth to move in a more fluent way.
Okay, now for the one that's probably the most powerful, but also the most difficult, the no filler challenge.
This is the high-intensity workout. The rules are simple. You pick a topic and you have to speak for 1 minute without using any filler words. No,
And if you do,
you lose. You have to start the minute over again.
that sounds brutal. But I can see how it would train you to become comfortable with silent pauses instead of filling them with noise.
That's the entire point. You learn to embrace the silence and use it as thinking time.
And finally, the most effective method of all. Exercise 5, record, review, improve.
This is the one most people avoid because nobody likes to listen to a recording of their own voice. But it is non-negotiable if you're serious about improving.
So the process is simple.
Record yourself answering an IELTS question. Then, listen back with a pen and paper. Be a critical examiner. Put a check mark every time you hear an or an. Underline every repeated word or phrase. It will be a painful but eye-opening experience.
And then?
Then you try again. You re-record the same answer, this time with the specific goal of reducing those check marks and underlines. You might go from 10 ums to 5. The next day, you aim for 2. You are competing against yourself.
If you don't measure it, you can't improve it.
That's the essence of it.
This is a lot to take in. To make it more manageable, let's outline a quick 30-day fluency plan for our listeners.
A great idea. A week-by-week schedule.
Okay, so week 1 is all about awareness. Your only job this week is to record yourself and count your fillers and repetitions. Just notice the problem, and maybe start learning those natural filler phrases.
Week 2 is about structure. This week, you practice everything using the pre-prep framework or storytelling. You also start building your vocabulary and synonym banks for common topics.
Week 3 is variety and flow. This is when you do the substitution drills and shadow speaking exercises. You're focused on sounding more natural and varied in your language.
And week 4 is polish and performance. This is your mock test week. You do full-time speaking tests. You use the no-filler challenge. You rigorously record, review, and improve every answer.
If you follow that for a month, the improvement will be massive. So let's bring this all together. What's the final takeaway?
I think the most important thing to remember is that hesitation and repetition are just habits. They are not a reflection of your intelligence or your potential. They are learned behaviors, and they can be unlearned.
And the examiner isn't your enemy. They're not looking for perfection. They're looking for communication.
They want to have a conversation with you. And it's much easier to have a conversation with someone who is clear and coherent than someone who is constantly buffering. Your goal is to make their job easy.
So start small. Don't try to implement all 20 of these strategies tomorrow. Just pick one. Maybe for the next week, your only goal is to replace let me see.
That one small change can have a ripple effect on your confidence and your entire performance. The buffers will slowly fade away, and the real confident you will be the one speaking.
That's a perfect place to end. This has been an incredibly practical and, I hope, reassuring deep dive for everyone listening.
It was my pleasure. Just remember to be patient with yourself. This is a process.
Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to this YouTube channel.